Okay. Welcome back, Rockstar Gaming here. I've still been labbing this game like crazy. Technically just dropped about what a day ago, but I've had it since Monday, so a whole week. Yeah, just getting into some more advanced tech that I've been finding just by labbing pretty much nonstop. Uh, Pretty dope stuff in here. This game, I want to say, unlike most fighting games, there's a certain level of complication to it because there's so many interplay with all these mechanics that overlap each other. A lot of times in fighting games, like you'll have one, maybe two mechanics that kind of serve similar functions ish. Whereas in this, there's literally like five or six defensive mechanics. There's like five or six movement mechanics. There's five or six, I mean, maybe I would say rush attacks and combos are the thing that has the least like nuance within the separate like categories for mechanics in this game. But even that, like, there's a high-low mix-up still, without it just being basic spam square. And if you're only spamming square, you're doing it wrong. Um, so I'm just gonna talk about a couple of different techs that I've been finding out, and some stuff isn't even really tech. It's just stuff that hasn't been talked about as much because it's not as obvious. But I'm just like hyped about this game, and I want this game to exist and do well for a long time. And I realize I have something to contribute to the community of Sparking Zero players, so I'm going to do so by making these videos. All that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is damage scaling. Now, anyone who's played any fighting games is aware of a thing called scaling. What scaling is just to explain, right here, that's a one hit punch, right? 401 damage. 2 is now 802. So that's 401 times 2, right? If I go... Now, I'm not going to do all the math, but right there, it started to scale, I think, about 95%. But not much, right? But once you start mixing in like smash attacks that knock them back, follow-up attacks, ground slams, what begins to happen is the scaling goes up a lot. And what I've found is that the way the game scales for a combo is your normal melee attacks get scaled like a little bit, but your supers and your blast attacks, like this right here, raw damage 760 or 7680, right? That's a lot. Now, if I were to do that same thing, hold on, let me think of a way to do it. Oh yeah. Here's just the basic. Pretend that that would actually not get stopped, because most people would actually get out of that, but it'll still count the combo. And I need to charge up. Hold up. Right. So, you see that? After all of that, I did the same move with no boost, and it did 9,000 damage versus 7,000 raw. That is because anytime you use a blast attack at the end of a combo, you are going to be suffering significantly from scaling. Granted, that little damage boost is still good. It's good to get that extra damage on, and you're also like, it's a morale deterioration against your opponent because they're like, damn, they just like got a full blast attack on me right now. That being said, as much as combos that end with that, with specials, are good, I would venture to say that another thing that's really good in fighting games, if you can start to get used to it, is resets. What is a reset? A reset is kind of as it sounds. Instead of just continuing one long continuous combo where I'm like taking no breaks, like just bop, 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 and that did 8k. Instead, I could do a reset, which is where I actually let myself intentionally lose the combo, but then I continue. So that was a knockdown. We don't want those, unless, well, there's actually a reason that you would, but so like, right? But then I can come into the back. Wow. Um, if you get around and utilize your movement, you can actually reset your combo in ways where your opponent won't really be able to guess or properly prepare for that move, because if you're resetting it like at a hard rhythm, then their super counters are not going to work as well, or if they're holding perception, you can actually just get around it with a sidestep, or if they try to do a revenge counter, that's probably going to hit, but revenge counters are actually pretty easy to deal with. You can use basically every defensive mechanic against a revenge counter. You can do the super perception, which is where you do the cool cutscene and you catch their limb, whatever they're hitting you with, and then hit them back. You can vanish it. You can just block it for normal. You could do a super counter on it. Yeah, or you can just dodge it. You can straight up dodge it with a X, like a step in. So revenge counters are good for stopping momentum on a really aggressive player, and like just kind of sort of getting it back to a sort of neutral. But if that aggressive player knows you're going to do it or like reads it, then you're still cooked. So all that being said, honestly, trying to talk through this and play at the same time is a little challenging, but you learning how to do resets is going to be really, really effective for getting crazy damage, and just like, especially like in DP, like DP battles, when you have, 15 max and you have to pick a certain number of characters. One thing that people have been doing a lot is just picking low-level characters with really good skills and then utilizing them for as long as possible. But what happens with that is that it just turns the entire game into a kind of a battle of attrition. So you never really win the match, because by that 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes by the way, by the time that 10-minute match is up, no one's died and like completely vetted out a whole team. So I understand why it would be like that, because that's the only way you can balance having lower characters in the game, but the time limit does make it pretty frustrating. So I would hopefully they'll like increase it to like at least 15 minutes, where 15-minute rounds are an option, so that you're not just always getting timed out, because I think that's really annoying. Okay, so this is not a concise video. I'm just telling you now. I probably should have said at the beginning, but I'm just going to go on about all the things I'm learning. So all of that, say something in the comments if you want me to talk more about resets and damage scaling. But the general idea is there. You can sidestep in the middle of a rush combo, and your combo counter starts back over. A lot of people are not going to be ready for that, or they'll like spamming perception. If perception hits someone in their front like 270 degrees, so if I hit him from right here when he has it, he's going to activate it on me. But 50-50, that activation of perception from this angle might completely miss me depending on the character he's using. So some characters have like, they'll use a left kick. So if Goku were to try to kick me with a left kick right here from this angle on perception, his kick would actually miss me, and that would let me kind of keep my advantage. Granted, if I start spamming rush right after that, I'll probably unalign myself with him and start punching past him, because that's happened a lot to me in ranked matches. But if I just move a little bit, like literally just that much of a step, it'll realign me, and I can just pop, 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 pop. And notice how there's a certain point where being fully on someone's left or right, even though I'm still technically kind of on the front side of him, if I hit him, it forces it to his back. So getting someone from the side is actually just as viable as fully getting on their backside. But also notice how, like right here, this is his front leg, and then it forced him front. The character model has like kind of priority or range, so I would even venture to say that some characters have different like angles, where if you hit them you'll force the back more often. But keep that in mind. That's very helpful. Okay, here's some more tech. Here's actually a little bonus tech I just saw the other day. Ki Blast. If you jump, which is R1, I'm just going to say everything in standard controls on PlayStation 5. So if you jump, or sorry, L1, not R1. If you jump, it's L1 from the ground, and you just tap it. Don't hold any other, don't hit X to dash or anything others mentioned. You'll come back down. So that's considered a jump move. Really good for movement, by the way, when you're at a range and like you're trying to like get in or throw off your opponent. key blasts when you're in the jump animation actually change a little bit. So like right here, this is me pressing triangle once. This is me pressing triangle once from a jump mechanic. Does a lot more going on. It's a lot more damage. It's a straight up combo. If that first thing hits them, they're getting hit by every one of those. Another thing that changes, it's not that much of a change, and some characters is more than others, but when you hold triangle for charge key blast or key smash, it will do something slightly different as well in the air, and you can straight up combo the two. So if you do charged key blast into normal key blast from the air from the jumping animation, you'll actually do a full out like kind of 7-hit combo. Really good. Look at that. That's like 3k damage. So imagine someone, so that was actually like 3 or 4. That was 4k really, rounding up. Imagine, you know, you're in this like, you're locked in with this person and they're trying to find their openings and they're like, oh, let me just like take this little opportunity and open up to get a little, you know, key charge up in here. The key charge, you can deflect pretty much immediately out of the key charge if you time it right. But most people, especially if you're like kind of even close, I've done it far too, like even this far, people are not going to react very quickly unless they're aware and looking for it. Like if they're hyper focused on, I just need to get my key up so I can do these super moves, you're probably going to smack them a couple times with these. And if you do this a few times, because a lot of people are stubborn or they just haven't like learned how to play around this mechanic, you can just straight up kill somebody off of interrupting their key charges. And this is really good against giants, by the way, because even if normal key moves will super armor, that much damage is still going to be hitting them. And I've noticed against people that play giant characters, until they're like really just getting minked up, they usually think, oh, I'm a giant so I can just tank everything. They're not actually tanking things, they're just like taking the damage and not getting staggered. So yeah, just some tips for that. You want to get a jump attack in on charging people, and then what happens is you start doing that and then you charge yours right after. Even though you're using up a lot of key for shooting these blasts, you can kind of get it back somewhat quickly. They might still end up having more key than you, and it's good to watch their meter and look for like, oh, once they get to 3 bars, he might try to spam, you know, Kamehameha wave or whatever. So it's really a lot about awareness and really figuring out your opponent's game flow and like what their game plan is. I'd venture to say right now there's only a few game plans, but I think that's going to expand a lot, like immensely, as the meta develops for this game. This is like probably going to be my favorite fighting game of all time, I'm going to be honest. But all that being said, so that's some of the key movement stuff. Here's another little fun tip. This low-key should have its own video, but for the sake of me brain dumping, I'm just going to share it in this, and maybe if I hear interest, I'll make another video about this crazy trick. So Dispo, I'm choosing him as one of my mains. I just love like his aesthetic. He's also a black dude, which is dope. You can hear it in his voice lines.
You really think you can keep up with me?
Like, that's a black dude, let's be real. Anyway, so Dispo is a speed type character. Annoyingly, the game doesn't always specify who's a speed type character or not, so you kind of just have to like lab stuff out and take notes. Hopefully they change that in the, like, to me it's like an obvious mechanic, why wouldn't you have that, but they don't. So hopefully they change some of the UI and menus so that you can do some stuff to really get a better idea of what the character is, even just from the character select screen. It would be amazing to see the explanation of controls from that screen. Okay, into the tech. So as a speed character, I haven't found any speed characters that can't do this, but they might exist because the game is very specified. But speed characters have a very cool sparking mechanic that not every character has, and it is, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember the name. It's somewhere in here, and going in, violent, was it Hyper Smash? No. Burst, finish, super movement. Yes, super movement. If you go into the explanation and hit L1 a few times, you'll see sparking mode, actions, special actions, and it'll show all the special actions that character has. If that character has super movement, they're probably a speed character. What is super movement? This is something nobody's used on me online, and I'm gonna start using it more, but it's actually busted. So super movement, as it explained, it's when you're in the middle of a dragon dash and you press R1 in a direction, you will actually, I'm just going to turn this on real quick. You'll actually do like a little teleport movement mid-motion, and it does some crazy stuff. So let me just show you what this looks like. Here's a normal, right? That's a dragon dash. Now if I do dragon dash with super movement, look at how crazy that movement is. First of all, that is so anime, that is so Dragon Ball Z, and that just gets me so hyped. That's crazy. Like, I'm controlling a character that can do that. That's amazing. Why is this dope? Why is it good? Now, the first I'll just say the downside immediately is that it does use up part of your sparking gauge to use it. So it takes it down in little chunks. I'll show you that later. But right now for demonstration, I'm just going to keep it on my sparking. That is going to limit some of your combos because there's touch of death combos in this game if you didn't already know. I call them pseudo touch of death combos because what's it called? A true touch of death in a real fighting game is from the beginning of the round, I can hit you with the right combo string that's going to completely kill you without you being able to do anything. Now in this, that's not really true because in order to do that, I guess it could still be viable if you get your sparking up to max, but no one's ever going to let you get to sparking at the beginning of a fight in a real match. I'll get back to touch of death. So yeah, this right here, that's just normal movement, but the homing dash version is really good because it pretty much avoids anything just about that someone else could do to you. So if they try to hit you with a super, like a normal Kamehameha wave or an ultimate even, now granted, it's not every single circumstance for every ultimate. If I'm this close to doing that craziness and then they activate their ultimate after that cutscene, I'm probably still going to get smacked. But not all the time, because I have labbed it a few times and I'll show you what that looks like. But yeah, this is good because it like completely throws off your opponent. And mind you, I'm not just pressing R1 right now. I'm wiggling my left stick to get like different angles to like throw them off, and then I'm also spamming L1 L2 so that's the jump and the descent, right? So I'm doing this basically. I'm basically doing that, which you can also do without sparking. This is like just normal movement that everybody can do. But I'm doing that, but while also doing this other crazy tech. So why is this good? When someone is seeing this, they're probably going to already be on the defensive because you're in sparking. Most, like 90% of the time when someone's in sparking, they're going to want to come and do a Z dash to get to your back, and then this is how you initiate that touch of death combo. So also mind the combo counter. See that? I hit 20, right? Now from there, depending on how I want to play it and how much sparking I have, I can either I can let them fall if they don't super counter, and then just like charge smash and continue. Or like, here's another example. And again, this game is so fluid, so there's no one way to do anything. But right? So right after, if I hit another hit, and then that, I can get to their front. If I do it fast enough, and they don't recover, because the recovery animation's a little longer when you get knocked down like this. Dang, it's hard to do. But you can actually teleport to the front of them, and then do a ground pickup, and then continue. But a typical touch of death looks like this. You can combo supers and ultimates all like completely free of charge. So wait till it's at 20, and then come and do your. I actually did that kind of late, but you do your bop. What is that? L2 and triangle, R2 triangle, excuse me. So anyway, let me just show you what this looks like. So right there, comboed straight into it. They can't avoid it. Hits them with that. At this point, my sparking gauge would be really low, but I'd still have a little bit of juice. Then I use my ultimate. From here, unless you perfectly time a Z counter, and I don't get my perfect timing, you are not dodging that. And that was 34k damage. That is 3 entire health bars and some change. At the point that you'd be able to do this against any character, unless they are either Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Beerus, Whis, any of the 10-point DP characters, they are getting completely fried. Completely fried. No health left. They are dead. There's nothing left of them. Because even right here, oh, just in case you didn't already know, one little health bar, it counts as 10k damage. So 3k damage is 3 full health bars. This Goku that I'm fighting, I believe technically, my math could be wrong, but imagine the bar that you're seeing that's like the literal line as one bar, and then those divots as extra bars on top of that. So technically he has 4k damage, or 4k health. I keep saying 4k. 40,000 health. 40,000 health. So if I just did that combo I just did right now that did 34,000 health, he would have barely a sliver of health left. And that's from like raw, someone has full health, right? The thing with that is you're probably not going to get to that point without having like a little bit of scrap going first. Especially because like characters like Dispo also has... Let me change the training settings so you see it. Dispo has this, which is also a really busted skill if you don't already know. But oh damn, no, I need my skill counter up. Skill count. So if I hit his left thing, I fully charged all of my went straight to sparking. He does it quick too. That's 2 seconds. So I can knock somebody back and then do that, and if they're knocked back hard enough, in that 2 seconds I'm now in like the hardest advantage state I could ever be in. And now they're just fully on the defensive looking out for my craziness. And I get a strength boost and I can't remember what that other one is. It's like a Ki Blast boost. I should do this another time, but I just need to know now. Melee attack and Ki Blast attack, yes. So those two little icons meant that for 15 seconds. So I'm also getting a crazy damage boost in the middle of all of that when I do the full thing. So here's like an example. Boom. Wait till it gets to 20. Boom. Bop. Straight into. So that was what it would look like with normal meter, no training mode, extra stuff. Full hit. 37,000 damage. So yeah, again, just about any character you do this to, unless you've not touched them once, or they are the DP10 characters, they're getting like Touch of Death. That's their whole health bar. Kind of busted. Granted, of course, if someone is good and they know how to get out of it, they can super counter even when you're doing the back combo. But with the resets I was telling you about, if you start to really take advantage of what that means and what that looks like, you can reset in the middle of these crazy counters. So like right there, I just did square down triangle and then really quickly did square up triangle right after. So that actually lets you do a low into a high. And then if you know about the up kicks, like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. Now again, the reset thing, I just did all of that and only did 11,000. That is still one health bar, but for all of that effort, not worth it. Definitely not worth it. So you want to reset in a situation like that. And that's just like repositioning in a way they don't expect so that you can start a new combo. Because once you're in advantage state, if I'm in advantage and I knock somebody back, I'm still in advantage. It's called Okizemi. So I still have advantage Granted, in this game, Oki's not quite as dramatic because there's so many options to do on the defensive side. But it's still basically my turn unless they find a way to reverse it right then, or at least it's like kind of neutral, but I again have advantage. So blah blah blah. Rambling aside, resets are super important. You can do touch of death combos. Characters like Dispo and other speed characters have a crazy homing mechanic. Actually, let me restart this. I don't think I ever finished explaining. It's that ADHD at work, baby. Jumping all over the place, but so if yep, I'm completely sidetracking. I need to come back to this topic. So right here, right, normal Z dash. When someone sees you in sparking, they're expecting you to Z dash if they know how it works, right? If they know like the advantage of that. What's amazing about this is that it kind of looks like a Z dash. And sure, if you do it too long, you're wasting your sparking and they might catch on. But if you do this a few times, like a real quick second, and then you just go straight into a Z dash, you'll like blow apart somebody's whole game plan. And another thing that's crazy about it is if they, unfortunately the computer, I can't set it to just Z dash, or if I can, I don't know how to yet, but if they try to Z dash on you, this crazy movement avoids that. So you'll be moving too much for them to actually lock on and hit you. They'll go to the position that you were at when you initially did it, but every single one of these counts as a teleport. So it's like an infinite teleport that I can just activate whenever I want. And it just also looks so dope. And then I can just come in for a Z dash at any point that I decide, and then go for a touch of death combo, completely obliterate every person on their team, and then it's just a good time. Yeah, crazy. Oh, I kind of mentioned this, but maybe not fully. But the scaling on damage, I think your ultimate only gets scaled by 50%, 50%. What that means is, even though it won't do as much damage as it normally would raw, if you put that at the end of a really big combo, you're still probably doubling the damage output of whatever combo you just did if you're ending it with your ultimate. Just a tip as to why like that touch of death did all that damage, but also just to show, like, if I did the raw, actually I'm gonna even boost it right here. Here's a boosted raw ultimate, just about 20k. So that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage if you can like get that to work right. Yeah. So the responsible version of me would cut this into another video, but because I'm still trying this out, this whole YouTube thing, I'm not sure how much I'm gonna really commit myself to it, but I just love this game too much to not talk about it. I'm gonna share another tech that I found. I'll try to move through these a little quicker now. Let's see, close range. Oh yeah, another thing. So sorry, there's a lot of imagination you're gonna have to apply to this because setting all the settings and like trying to get them right is a little challenging. It would be helpful if I had like a friend to play this with, or like I do have some people, but then I'd have to schedule with them. Anyway, so right here in a normal combo situation, I'm gonna turn off sparking just so it's like a bit more true to whatever, true to form. If I do like any amount of rush attacks and then tap R1 in the middle of my combo, I'll teleport behind somebody. That's really great for repositioning, for getting their back, for controlling the space. But as soon as I do one vanishing, if they're already blocking or spamming guard, they will now do a vanishing on me to get to my back if they input it correctly. And then it turns into like a vanishing, we're just like choo 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 choo, everyone's just teleporting everywhere, all cool and dandy. Why that's annoying, every time you do that, it is actually lowering it, you're using ki for it. So you see that it's half a bar roughly. And granted, actually no, it's exactly half a bar, and then every hit gives you ki back. So, all that being said, if you're both just teleporting, and usually you get in those situations when you don't have a lot of ki in the first place, all that's really annoying. So there's a little bit of like a rock paper scissors to it, where if you notice that they're starting to vanish on you, what you do is you tap forward. So even right there, I just tapped forward. Right? If you tap forward, you'll automatically look at them and reposition, and then you just hold, for standard controls, it's circle for the perception. And now when you do perception, boom, right? Usually perception is, I want to say it's typically the last, whatever the last hit of your chain is. Shoot, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. So right there is like a heavy punch. It's either that or your first one. Every character is kind of different, but typically whenever you hit somebody or catch them with a perception move, it's gonna be, actually I think it's your first. So for me it would be the jump kicks. When I use perception, I'm gonna do jump kicks on him. If I spam square out of that moment, then I actually turn my perception into a combo. So if I'm trying to open somebody up, they block me, I go behind, they go behind me, I can just tap side and then hold perception, and then I'll actually counter their rush attack that they were going to do on me, and then go into a whole thing. So that, if that doesn't make sense to you, when you play more, you'll start to understand more of what I'm saying. Like, the game is basically rock, paper, scissors, but instead of 3 options, there's like 30. And you're constantly playing that with your opponent, trying to figure out what they're about to do, predicting what they're going to do, and then countering that. Everything is counterable. That being said, another thing that's really, really cool and like part of the future meta that I see is, I'm sure now if you're at a point like intermediate to advanced, you know that when somebody does a Z-dash on you, they're trying to get to your back. The ways you can avoid this, which I might have mentioned in my last video, is you can either sidestep when you're close. That gives you iframes to dodge whatever rush attack they start with. Or you can tap left and then hold block. That'll turn you around to get you blocking them so that you can then jump into perception. Or you can just simply move in the direction they were facing. So Goku would move forward towards me right now, and even though I go behind him, he'd still be moving forward, because that would then shift his position to kind of turn away from me and move back, and then he can hold back when I'm behind him. But at that point, you just start spamming ki blasts, and then you'll essentially do this. So that lets you move away with ki blast, or even better, if you actually do just hold up, aka forward, while someone does a Z dash, and then you do this, you'll already, in the time it takes for them to get from wherever they started the Z dash to like right up to you, you'll be moving in the direction they came from. And then you'll start moving towards them once they're behind you, but you're already doing ki blast. And every time you hit somebody with a ki blast, you're going to stop their whole momentum of their combo from the Z burst. So this just gets stuffed by ki blast up close. If they try to guard, then they're actually going to start deflecting, which will probably knock those blasts back at you. But in the event that those blasts don't hit you, their guard animation turns into deflect, which is now no longer guard. So they basically cannot block, although you can interrupt ki deflection with perception. So if someone really reads it, they can still catch it. But basically, by doing this, now I'm vulnerable to someone who understands that using ki blast is going to stop me, and ki blast also beat perception. So now what it creates is a rush attack, ki blast, perception, rock paper scissors. So square is rush attack, that gets completely stuffed by circle, which is perception, which is basically super guard, right? But then if I am trying to do rush attacks, I can also get smacked by ki blast, which is funny. But perception gets destroyed by ki blast. You get hit, you get staggered. If someone's close, that opens you up for a combo. I could just, you see that? That was 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So ki blast combo into melee attacks. Um, that is crazy if you keep getting Z dashed on, because now you know that you can just turn around the momentum against them. Another thing that's amazing for Z dash and is really kind of easier to do in my opinion, and it kind of resets back to neutral, but with you getting damage on them, is just do a vanishing attack. And that is square and X. When you do a vanishing attack, you have a huge window from basically if you see them start their Z dash from like far away, you can essentially do the vanishing attack immediately, and you disappear for long enough that by the time they reach you, you're still not even there, and then you hit them from the back. Pause. And then from doing that, if you have enough ki, you can hit them with a follow-up attack, boom, and start that whole chain. And of course, if you don't already do this, you need to be mixing up your follow-up attacks with homing attacks. So don't always just go into triangle, but switch it up between your options. Right. So really important. Again, rambling, but this is all just stuff that if you feel like you're stuck in the game, especially you're like C rank or low B, this stuff is going to be game changing for you completely. I promise you. It's going to change everything about how you approach everything. I don't even know how long this video is right now. 36 minutes. Amazing. So following all of that, talked about the rock paper scissors. You can stop endless vanishing with a perception counter, damage scaling, reset. If you don't already know how to use Z counters or super counters well, you have to tap up and square at the same time. You can't hold up, you can't spam square. They have to be multiple inputs. Technically, you can spam what that input looks like, but you do have a penalty of like about 12 frames, which is a fifth of a second. Yeah, 1/5 of 1 second is the deficit or whatever, the punishment, which is basically like another 2-3 hits. Anyway, super mathy. I think that was all the things I had in mind for this video. Yeah, if you liked what you heard, leave a like, subscribe. I know that the channel's pretty brand new and like bare, but if people like this stuff, then I'll do more of it. I might just keep doing it anyway because I'm really enjoying it. And it's even going to help me later if I like step away and then come back to this game. Like all this advanced tech is really, really dope. Kudos to what is it, Creesoft, whoever made this, and Bandai Namco. This game is amazing, and I think it's going to live for a very, very long time. With that, I am out. Thanks, guys.